This temple is 75 meters up a cliff. It's 1,500 years old. One monk built it, alone according to legend. No steel, no nails, no modern machinery. From below, it looks like it's balanced on thin wooden sticks. It isn't. The real secret is hidden inside the rock itself. Earthquakes, floods, centuries of weather, it's still standing. In 2026, engineers started watching it more closely than ever. So how does something this fragile survive this long? Shanxi Province, northern China, Mount Heng, one of China's 5 sacred mountains. Inside it, Jingxia Gorge, a narrow, steep-walled canyon. A river once ran through here, violently without warning. Flash floods could fill this gorge in minutes. Anything built on the valley floor eventually got destroyed. Local records describe entire settlements washed away in a single night. The gorge itself acted like a funnel, concentrating the water's force. So one monk decided not to build on the ground at all. His name, according to temple records, was Liaoran. The year, 491 AD, Northern Wei Dynasty, a period of religious upheaval across China. Temples had been built and destroyed here before more than once. Liaoran wanted something floods couldn't reach and armies couldn't easily find. The solution: build 75 meters above the valley floor, directly into the rock itself. That decision alone should have made construction impossible. There was no ledge to stand on, no flat ground to build from. Every single step had to be invented as they went. There was no blueprint from an earlier project to copy. This hadn't been done before, not at this scale. First, workers drilled directly into the cliff face by hand, square holes, deep enough to hold a beam's full length. Then came the beams themselves, square-cut timber, roughly 50 centimeters thick. Hemlock and iron fir, both local to this region. Before installation, every beam was soaked in tung oil. That oil seals the wood against rot, insects, and moisture. For centuries. Each beam was driven into its hole, then wedged tight with smaller pieces of wood. The tighter the load pushes down, the tighter that wedge locks. No nails anywhere in the entire structure. That wasn't a stylistic choice. It was practical. Metal fasteners corrode over centuries. Properly cut wood joints don't. Traditional mortise-and-tenon joints hold everything together instead. 27 of these beams total anchor the entire temple into the rock. Each one extends several meters into solid stone. From the outside, you'd never guess how far back they actually go. Here's the part almost every visitor gets wrong. Those tall, thin pillars underneath the walkways look like they're holding everything up. They are not. Most of them were added centuries later to reassure nervous visitors. Psychological support, not structural support. The real weight travels a completely different path, straight into the cliff. Every step a visitor takes gets carried backward into solid stone before it ever reaches the ground. It's an illusion built on top of real engineering. Some of those decorative pillars don't even touch the ground firmly. They sway slightly in strong wind, on purpose. That's fine. They were never holding anything up, and it worked well enough to keep building, upward and outward. Eventually, the complex grew to more than 40 halls and pavilions, all connected by narrow corridors and staircases, carved directly into the rock or suspended above it. Some walkways are less than a meter wide, with a straight drop of dozens of meters just past the handrail. Building any of this meant working suspended above that same drop every single day. One mistake, one frayed rope, and there was no safety net below. There was no modern harness, no rescue helicopter, no emergency plan. Just careful hands and centuries of accumulated skill passed down by word of mouth. Nobody knows exactly how many workers it took or how many years. Temple records credit Liaoran alone. Most historians doubt one person built all of this by himself. A project this size almost certainly needed a skilled team, even if only one name survived in the records. That's common in ancient construction stories. One name remembered, many hands forgotten. It doesn't make the achievement less real, it just makes it less individual. Somewhere in this structure, dozens of anonymous craftsmen left work that's still holding, 1,500 years later. What makes this site even stranger isn't just how it was built, it's what's inside it. Buddhist statues, Taoist deities, Confucian scholars, all under one roof. This is the only surviving temple in China built to honor all three traditions at once. At a time when religious rivalry could turn violent, that choice was itself remarkable. The Three Teachings Hall sits at the very center of the complex. A physical statement built directly into a cliff. These three paths can coexist. Sakyamuni Buddha, Laozi, founder of Taoism, Confucius himself. Three completely different belief systems given exactly equal space. Nobody knows for certain why Liaoran chose that arrangement. But 1,500 years later, it still reads as a deliberate, careful choice. For 1,500 years, that statement has survived just as long as the engineering holding it up. But surviving that long means surviving everything the region could throw at it. This is a seismically active region. Earthquakes here are not rare. A rigid structure would crack under that kind of shaking. Mortise-and-tenon joints flex slightly instead of snapping. That small amount of give may be exactly what's let this structure outlast rigid stone buildings nearby. The cliff overhang above the temple does its own quiet work too. It blocks direct rainfall and harsh sunlight from ever reaching most of the wood. Less water, less UV damage, a longer lifespan, almost by accident of geology. The height itself solved the original flood problem completely. In over 1,500 years, no flood has ever reached the structure. Dynasties changed. Empires rose and fell beneath it. The temple needed regular attention regardless. Restoration work continued through the Ming and Qing dynasties, centuries apart. Damaged beams were replaced. Weakened joints reinforced. Iron chains were added at some point, extra insurance beyond the original wooden system. Every generation added its own layer of care to the same 1,500-year-old bones. Craftsmen today still use many of the same tools and methods as the originals. Modern power tools exist. On this structure, they are rarely the right choice. Matching 1,500-year-old joinery requires 1,500-year-old patience. In 1982, China formally listed it as a National Protected Heritage Site. In 2010, Time magazine included it on a list of the world's most endangered buildings. That label wasn't really about imminent collapse, it was about pressure building over time. Because the same thing that makes this place famous also puts it at risk. People want to see it, in person, up close. Photographs and videos only capture so much of what it actually feels like to stand there. The narrow walkways, the drop just past the handrail, the wood creaking softly underfoot. Every visitor adds weight, vibration, and wear to a structure never designed for modern crowds. So access has always been limited, deliberately and strictly. For years, only about 80 people were allowed inside the temple at any one time. As soon as one visitor left, another was allowed in. Nobody else. By early 2026, officials decided that wasn't precise enough anymore. A new real-time monitoring system was installed directly on the structure. Sensors now track vibration, load, and movement continuously. Every footstep, every gust of wind measured and logged. 3 specific pressures are being watched most closely. Rising visitor numbers, especially during peak travel seasons. Long-term timber degradation, invisible from the outside. And the region's ongoing seismic activity, still active after 1,500 years. From April 2026, daily access was capped even further. Just 2,475 visitors total. Officials say further reductions are still possible, depending on what the sensors show. This isn't just about crowd control anymore. It's about listening to the wood itself. Vibration data can reveal stress patterns invisible to the naked eye. A joint that looks fine today might be quietly weakening year over year. The goal isn't to catch a failure. It's to prevent one from ever happening. For the first time in 1,500 years, this temple is being watched by machines instead of just craftsmen. Ancient timber, modern data, both trying to answer the same question. How much longer can this actually hold? Nobody has a definitive answer yet. The monitoring program itself is still new, still gathering data. What is clear, this structure has already outlasted almost every prediction made about it. 1,500 years, countless earthquakes, floods that never once reached it. A design built from wood, rock, and one very old idea about weight. Nobody in 491 AD had the word engineering the way we use it now. They just understood correctly where the real strength was. Let the mountain carry it, not the ground. That one idea is still being tested every single day, by footsteps, by wind, by whatever the mountain does next.